Are we going into a bull market, a bear market, or a recession? Odds are over 60% that a recession is coming. What does that mean? Well, something very significant just now happened. And the history tells us we got about a 50-50 chance between going into a bull market or a bear market, a 100% pump or a 60% decline. In this video, we're going to go over exactly what has been happening and why they have been happening. We're also going to go over what is this death cross and what could potentially happen, guys. It's going to be a great video, maybe the most important video you have ever watched for your bags, guys. I love you all. This is never financial advice. I don't know if you've heard these words or not, but tariffs have been rained down on the entire world, reciprocal tariffs, but they're a lot heavier than what they actually put on the United States of America, but it's kind of a calculation on trade deficit. Anyways, none of that matters. All we should care about is our bags. These went into effect last night at midnight from the time that you're watching this video. And recession betting odds surged past 60% on all the major betting platforms that there will be overall a recession. But I think it is important to understand that although the stock market is down a lot, crypto is down a lot, I think it's very important for us to understand that the economy is not the stock market, Wall Street is not Main Street, but it is also important to note that with enough pain on Wall Street, that will flow into Main Street. Let me know down in the comments if that makes sense, guys. But if we come over here to BTC, these dots right here that I have highlighted, something very significant has happened. The death cross. Okay, if you look right here, we got the simple moving average, 200-day and 50-day. And if we take a look, they have crossed right here. They crossed about 2 or 3 days ago whenever we had that drop from 83,000 all the way down to 77,000. BTC currently sitting at 76,000. So let's go back and look at the last few death crosses. And we could see right here, when this one ensued, it was in January 2022, and that was entering a ultimate bear market. We went down another 66% from that day, and then we had a bull cross right here, and we rode up from about 16,000 up to about 30,000, 100% gain in there. But then we had a bear cross right here, and that was the result of BTC going down about 22%. But right after this bear cross, we surged almost 200%, guys. Okay, and then we're stuck here in this bull flag that we were looking at for a very long time last year that ranged from here and coming up with the top channel of right here. And then we broke out of it when we had a bearish cross right here. And so what is this time going to be? Is this going to be leading into a recession where we go down another 60%, or is this going to be going to the moon? Well, if I knew, I would be the ultimate millionaire. I would go long on everything. But what we can look at is market structure and data to see if we could potentially be going into this type of economic times, or if we could be looking for something bullish. And the most bullish thing that we have coming out is the global M2 money supply. If we take a look, this is an overlay of M2 money supply and BTC, and this is offset by 107 days. And you could see that the global money supply has ran up to about $136,000 Bitcoin if we were to trend these out. But there is a lag, so all of this makes sense with the little pump that we had with the dump. And this is set to take off around May 1st. Well, if we take a look at what's going on, tariffs are going into effect tonight. If we take a look at my calendar, we are currently at about April 9th. So we got about 20 days to figure these things out. Deals with nations on tariffs, in that there won't be enough economic damage around to be long-term or cause inflation or cause a lot of job loss yet. We could be going into that historic bull run that we all want to look for, because when we take a look at the overall markets, guys, we are bleeding 3.7 trillion down on crypto, down to 2.4 trillion. The overall stock market losing over 20% on average, guys. Altcoin season, don't even mention it. It's nowhere to be found. But the next piece of data is that traders are betting that the Fed will cut at least 4 times this year. That is very bullish for markets, for risk on assets. Easier money in the hands of people means more investing in risk on assets. The next thing, which is a Fed thing that they look at for cutting interest rates, is inflation. Real time inflation in the US right now is currently 1.4. And when you look at these other countries, they are much, much higher, but it is all not good news. We have had multiple bear crosses in the past that have led to this run up that we have. We see if we look right here, we draw a trend line right here. If we come down here and we draw a trend line right here, we could see kind of where we are lining up. We are lining up to come into contact with that right here. And I also want to break down this chart a little bit more to tell you where we are looking for on the bullish side of things. If we take a look, there's a few things technical analysis wise that I want to show you, because I do think all of these line up, and that is why I am leaning towards the more bullish approach. If we take a look right here and we look at this market structure, we can see that this right here is a rolling top. It is characterized the same as basically a head and shoulders, where you take the neckline and you measure from the tip of the head to the neckline and you measure that going down. So if we were to come to do this right here and we take this neckline right here and we come up here to this top to here, and then we take it at the point of the breakout, that takes us right here to 73,000. We could see when we zoom in right here that we have almost hit that. But we are not quite there yet. Another thing that would make sense is for us to come test this previous all-time high, which was at the back of the previous pump. But all of this is going to go on what happens macro market wise. But we do have a lot of liquidity coming into the overall markets, guys. Part of that is going to go into crypto. So that is one thing that I wanted to show you, was that the rolling top measured perfectly with that. The next one was that this trend line that goes from here, from 2023 down to this low, we are very close to hitting that. And we are right now in what would be the ultimate buying zone. Never financial advice for a overall bull market. Will this end up being something like was back here, where we came up here, we dropped a lot, then we came up and made a new all-time high? You could see right here, we went down about 52%, which is a lot more than we are currently down. If you take a look, we are currently down approximately 30%. But we can't just look at the good news. And here on Freeman Finance and Crypto, I don't ever want to only steer you one direction. I want you to know, what if the other scenario plays out? What if the scenario we do not want to happen plays out? What could it mean for our back? So for that, let's take a look at the last death cross that led to a overall bear market. And when we take a look at that, if we measure down from here to that low, that was a 67% drop from there. So if we were to take that from right here and get another 67% drop, that would take us right here. And so what this level correlates to is something that I find very, very interesting, because there's a lot of support around here. If we just come from here and we draw over, and then we find the next term of resistance, which was right here, you can see 31,000, you can see 30,000, 32,000 right there. It would fall somewhere in this $25,000 range to $32,000 range. Now, if this happened, this would be no good for anyone. Alts are going to bleed like no tomorrow. Most of them would go to zero. Ethereum would bleed very bad, and all of my favorite ones like Kaspa would do very, very poorly. But it would be an ultimate time to buy. And history has showed us that the only trajectory is up. Now, it is causing market turmoil. And if we take a look right here and come over here to the overall market cap of crypto, if we go all time, we can see that right here we're at an $800 billion market cap. Right here, we're at a $2.86 billion market cap, whereas here we only hit a $3.5 trillion market cap. Now, if we were to draw a line right here, it would take us somewhere up to about the 5 trillion mark, which is good math. But with new governments coming into crypto, more adoption coming into crypto, what I would like to see is the same multiple at least, which would be about a 3x market cap to market cap of cycle, which would take us to approximately 10 trillion. Now, with the way everything's looking, I am not expecting that. I just want to be clear, guys. And I'm not here to be bearish. I'm not here to be overly bullish. I'm just here to present everyone here with the facts. So if you appreciate that, please like, subscribe. I love you all. But overall, we got a lot of liquidity coming into the markets very, very soon, guys. It's going to be extremely bullish. M2 money supply is growing. More rate cuts coming, and economic data with inflation is low. But on the flip side, we've got recession odds by experts going up. So I want to know, what do you think is going to happen in the markets? Do you think all of these tariffs are going to be resolved very quickly? Bitcoin, kaspa, everything else that we love is going to go to new all-time highs, or are we going into a Great Depression type recession? Let me know. Watch this video up above, and if you're not a part of the Freeman of Finance family, what are we doing? Subscribe. I love you all.